hope everyone had fun discovering a clay recipe. I put my clay recipe out by now. I'm going to put that out for you so you can see the recipe I use for this. So this is, I asked you just to find a recipe and just play around with it and make a little vessel out of it. In other words, a vessel is something, you know, like a little cup or a mug or a vase or something like that, or it could be an incense holder. So what I'm doing is I'm patting this into a little flat piece. I'm going to actually use a form to put my clay on. So another commonly used strategy or method is to take your clay and wrap it around something so it takes the shape of that thing, okay? So I'm just patting this out. I'm going to throw it out like this, which means I'm going to drag it on the table. Now, clay likes to stick, conventional clay likes to stick to slick surfaces, and I believe this stuff does too. So if you're having a little problem with that and you're working on a counter, you can either find something that's not so slick or smooth, or take a very thin coat of oil, possibly, and put it on your surface so or even on a little bit on your hands so it doesn't stick to it. All right? So I'm just patting this out. I'm not using a rolling pin. I could use something like this also to roll it out. This doesn't work as well. I thought I'd try that. It's a little too thin. So I'm just going to throw out my slab like this. This basically, I'm making a slab. So I'm stretching the clay out. There we go. That's working pretty well. All right. Then I'm going to take a ruler and trim one edge. Like so. With my pin tool, you could use a knife for this. I'm going to trim the other edge. So what I'm going to do is wrap this around. I'm going to make a little container using a slab of my dough or my homemade clay. And all I've done is taken a little juice can and I wrapped a sleeve of paper around it. The paper is stuck to itself. I put a piece of tape here so I can pull the can off, because if the clay sticks to the can, I won't be able to get it out. But if the clay sticks to the paper, which it'll probably do, I can just pull the can out and then pull the paper out. So I'm going to wrap this around again. This is usually, a lot of artists use molds for getting clay to take certain shapes. The virtue of that is also you can repeat the same piece over and over again. In other words, you can make the same piece exactly the same by using a mold. All right, wrap this around. Oh, I'm not long enough. What should I do? Oh, I'll take it off and stretch it out some more. I would do the same with conventional clay. Make it longer. There we go. Let's drape it over the can. See if it fits. I think so. There we go. Okay. Beautiful. Then I'm going to cut it where it overlaps, like this. And then remove the excess pieces here and here. And then add a little water to this, to the edges, and push them together. So what I now have is a little cylinder based on the shape of my can, but it needs a bottom. So for that I made another piece of clay here, put this there, put this on top of it, trace around it with my pin tool. So our next class after this one, you're going to be coming into class, or at least you're going to be getting clay. Those of you, half the class will come into campus and we'll work in classroom, and then the second half of you will be working remotely. But all of you should still come into the 10th floor and get some clay and some materials. This clay is just sticking to itself. So there we go. I might trim up the top edge here so it looks a little neater, a little cleaner. There we go. Now I could leave this on here for a while. It may shrink a little bit, so I don't want to leave it on too long. Or, let's see, I'm going to take it out of here. So there's a little cylinder. Again, you can use a bowl to do that same idea. You drape a slab in here of your clay and it'll take that shape. You could crimp the edge of it so it looks nice, so add a little decorative features in it. You could use a piece of Tupperware or something like that. All right, let's see if we can get my can out of there. There, it comes right out. See how nicely that comes out? And now I have a little cylinder of my dough. And I can take the paper out. Just take the paper and twist it like this. Or leave it in there. It's not terrible if it doesn't come out, but we want this to come out of there, I think. I'll twist it. It's sticking there a little bit. So I may have to let this dry. Okay, I'll probably let it dry a little bit then. And then I'll take it out later. I think it'll pull away from the sides a lot easier. So there you go. So again, with this next, your next project will be to take your homemade clay and try making a couple forms out of it. Maybe a cylinder shape or a bowl shape. I could put a handle on here, perhaps. Let's see. I'm going to roll a quick piece of clay. Now, all this is based on my use of conventional clay, but, you know, a lot of it's still working with my little homemade clay, which is kind of cool. So what I'm going to do is roll 3 little coils with my clay, like this. 1. I'm just making a quick little handle for my little mug here, my little cup. 2. The one thing I haven't tried to do, some of this clay, I imagine you could probably bake. You could bake it and it would harden that way, but I think most of the stuff can just air dry. Alright, so I got 3 coils. I'm then going to take my coils and braid them or twist them together into a handle. Let's see if they have enough body to stand up. There we go, sort of a twisted thing. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it on here, like so. Let's use a little bit of water so it sticks. I could have left my can in for this part. The can would help it keep in shape. And then bring it over the top here, like so. Now, if I want this to have a nice loop in the top, like right now, see how it's sagging? Well, what I could do, let's see if I can get my paper out. There we go. I could take my piece and put it upside down. Therefore, when it dries, it'll have a nice curve in the top. It's not working out real well with the handle anyway. But this is kind of funky looking, I'll admit it. But there you go. Let's bring it back up here. Let's take the handle off. That's not working out. It could dry a little bit, or I could have left the can in. If I'd left the can in, that would have helped much better. But I don't want to know if I put the can back in here. There we go. We could do that. That'll help keep its shape while I put my handle on. So this is a bit of an experiment even for myself. All right, then I'll loop it this way. I'll drape it that way, and see my handle then has that nice loop in the top, letting gravity pull it down. And then when I flip it right side up and it dries, I'll have that nice handle shape in it. All right, so there you go. Try this idea out. We'll see how it goes. All right, I hope you're finding a good formula. I'll put my formula, or I will have put my formula up for you to try it, so you can see if that works too. All right? Thank you.